Yes, so my machine is up. Now we saw how to enable moderation or how to configure moderation for a specific group. Now we are going to configure moderation for a specific user using the mail flow rule. Now why we require to configure moderation for a specific user? So let's say I want to restrict a user for sending emails from outside the organization. Sorry, I don't want to restrict a user. I want to moderate a user for sending the messages outside of the organization. So let's say if I'm having a user, Steve, and if he is sending an email outside the organization, then that message should be moderated. If he is sending the emails inside the organization, there's no restriction. But if he's sending the message outside the organization, then the message should be moderated. Moderator should affirm that the message should be approved or rejected. So that we can configure using the mail flow rule. So what we'll do, we'll configure moderation on the user Steve Johnson. And if he's sending the emails outside the organization, the message would go to the moderator for approval. Moderator will approve or reject the messages. And so Steve Johnson will be the recipient and Seema Patel will be the moderator. So at present, I'll disable the archive for all those users or except Seema and Krishna. I'll disable archiving. I'll disable. Okay. So let's go to the mail flow rule. We'll be on the rules tab. We'll have a new role, send messages to a moderator. We have a second option where we are configuring the moderation rule. So we'll click send messages to moderator. Now we'll give the rule Steve Johnson outbound moderation. We are given the rule Steve Johnson outbound moderation. So now let's apply this rule. So we'll select who the recipient is. So I'm saying my recipient is Steve Johnson. And what action we need to do? We need to do the following, right? So here we'll select forward the messages for approval to. Hold on, sorry. Yeah, the recipient is Steve Johnson. And with this condition, I'm going to add one more condition. So here we have the option called more options. Here we have the option called more options. We'll click on more options and we'll add one more condition. So we are saying apply the rule if the recipient is Steve Johnson and we'll select one. So we'll say the recipient is internal or external. So we are saying outside the organization. If the recipient is outside the organization. So if it is inside the organization, then moderation is not going to get applied. It is going to get applied only if the recipient is outside of the organization. Right. So the recipient is Steve Johnson, and if he's sending to a mail where the recipient is located outside the organization, then do the following. What we need to do? We'll say forward the message for approval to. Now forward the messages for approval to. So we can specify a specific people, a specific user, moderator, or it can be the manager of the user also. to the sender's manager. Now, if you have configured an Active Directory for every user, the manager tab, then you can select this option. But at present, we have not configured that. If you go to Active Directory, so let's say for user Steve Johnson, we go to the organization tab, we have not configured manager, right? Manager tab is not configured. So we'll not select that option at present, but in production, if you have configured under Active Directory for each user manager settings, which we ideally do, right? So you can select that option. So it will go to the manager of the user. But here, what we'll do, we'll set to the people and we'll give the person as Sonali or Seema. We'll give Seema as the moderator. So now Seema is the moderator. And we can also provide an exception. Right. If you want to provide an exception, you can provide an exception also that you want to allow. If I add exception, so here exception I can allow stating that if the recipient is person, member of the group, address includes any of these words. Right. So, or we can specify a domain also. Let's say if the domain is, I'll click Microsoft.com. We'll add, right. I have added Microsoft.com. I can remove it and I can add any another domain also. So let's say if I'll say if the domain is cloudsparkle.in. If the domain is cloudsparkle.in, then allow it. At present, it is not going on internet because we have not configured any routing settings, right? So we'll just click OK. Now audit the rule with severity level. We'll say medium, enforce the policy, and you can also provide the duration of the rule. It should start or end on this date. If you don't provide, it would be till eternity, still the user exists, right? And we'll just click the save button. So now our moderation is configured. Our moderation is configured and priority is one. Priority is one. Now let's navigate to the user Steve Johnson. We'll ask Steve to log in. We'll ask him to send an email. So he's sending an email. So let's say we'll ask him to send an email to, for example, santoshpatai@gmail.com. If the message is going to Gmail, we have given an exception if the email is going to cloudsparkle.in domain, then it should not be moderated. So we'll say moderation test. This email is for moderation test. Regards, Steve. So now the mail is getting sent. Mail is sent. We can see that it is in sent items. Let's sign out and sign as Seema. As Seema as the moderator, the mail should be with the moderator. Maybe let me see once. Uh, right, your message was ejected by moderator for these recipients. No, this is not today's message. Might be already moderation. No, the moderation is configured on the group, not the user. Right? Hmm. Maybe we have not configured any rules. Maybe let me check. Seema was only the moderator. No? Let's try to send another email. Let's validate this email is received or not. Did we configure any rule on any of the users, Steve or
Sir, we apply the settings for Steve. It's from outside. So is it okay?
for delivery restrictions?
No, sir. We apply the rule. We have created a rule under mail flow na, for Steve. So we given the setting. Steve is from outside organization. That is okay na.
No, no. We what we did when we configured. See, if the recipient is Steve Johnson, so if the recipient is Steve Johnson, right? If Steve Johnson is the recipient, so Steve Johnson is sending an email where the recipient of sorry, yeah, sorry, my bad. I need to select here the sender is. Sender, I need to select Steve Johnson. Yes, correct. My bad. If the sender is Steve Johnson, it is located, and the recipient is located outside the organization. Correct. My bad. So let's sign out, and but why he was not able to send any email to this user Seema? Why Seema is not receiving any email? Let's try to send an email again. Let's parallel log in with admin account. Yeah, we have received Steve's email. Right, it was to user Seema. Now let's sign out and see whether Seema received the email. Yes, Seema has received the email. Right
Yes, sir.
now, but why the moderation has appeared for this user? If we mention it should be okay, it has went to seema@krishna.com. Right, you can see the mail has went to krishna.com because we had configured uh ID for Seema. So email ID for Seema is krishna.com. Right? No, it was updated. Why it is showing
Mm.
krishna.com.
Maybe it's a policy.
Actually, I deleted the domain krishna.com now.
Okay.
So the user Seema is now sp.com only. Right, so it is saying, see that it is detecting that it was email sent to krishna.com, right? It was sent to krishna.com. So as we have configured the moderation that if the domain is outside the organization, now krishna.com is outside the organization, I have deleted from my accepted domains. So now exchange is considering that krishna.com is not on our accepted domain. It is not our domain. It is an outside the organization. So the message has came for moderation. We'll at present reject it and we'll ask Steve to send email once again. Right, so we'll ask Steve to log in again. Now we'll send 3 emails. So at present, I am sending one email to santoshpatai@gmail.com. Moderation test one. Hello team. This is moderation test one. Regards, Steve. Is sending an email. Is jotting another email to user Sonali. Moderation test two. This is moderation test two. And another email is jotting to santosh.pathai@cloudsparkle.in. Moderation test 3. Hello SP. Moderation test 3. We have sent 3 emails, right? Moderation test 1, moderation test 2, moderation test 3. Now let's sign out and ask Seema to log in and validate how many moderation tests she has received. Right, so you can see she has received only moderation test 1 because the recipient is outside of the organization. Right. So now Seema can approve or reject the request. She can review the email. What was the email? What is jotted in the email? She can review the contents of the email also. So she can approve or she can reject also. If she wants to reject, she can provide the reason. In production, you should always provide a reason for rejecting an email. It is not like that you have just rejected the email. We'll ask to approve it. Right. So now the messages will travel outside of the organization and will get delivered. Not in our case because we are using lab environment. We eventually don't have internet also. So they are not going to get delivered outside the organization. So clear with mail flow rule, how you can apply moderation using mail flow rule.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sure, 100%.
Yeah, yeah, sir.
There was a small mistake. So
No problem, sir. That is okay. Uh, so, can we apply any other rule like on this moderator for a particular user? Can we have a look on it, or can we see any other rules?
on the mail flow,
Yes, sir.
mail flow
On
still I'm going to cover two rules. So I'm going topic wise. So I have still I need to cover one C. And the disclaimer rule we have already covered, right? We applied the disclaimer policy. Remember?
yes, sir.
Then we today saw about this moderation.
Mm.
I'll be covering one more rule. We'll be seeing message filtering and we'll be seeing delivery reports. That is pending still. That I'll be probably covering tomorrow.
Okay.
Right? Now, apart from that, we have, if we go to the users properties, right? So let's say I'm having user schema. I'm having user schema. Now this user schema, uh, uh, we have covered permissions. So for example, if I go to user schema and mailbox delegation, do we have covered this mailbox delegation? It is pending, right?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
We have
Yes.
covered. We have
Yes.
covered or not covered?
And this one we have not covered yet.
Not covered, no? Okay. Okay. So first we'll go through this. Then I'll be coming to the little bit L2 portion. We'll be seeing the manageability or administrative things of Exchange. Right. So now let's say I'm having user schema. So if we go to properties of the user schema under mailbox delegation, so we can delegate this mailbox to another user also. We can delegate this mailbox to another user also. So if we expand it, we have three kind of permissions. So send as, send on behalf, and full access. Now, either you can configure full access, send on behalf, send as all everything. Now, if you configure full access, let's say I'm configuring full access, I'm giving Seema's delegation to the user Krishna as full access permissions, as full access permissions. So Krishna will be able to access Seema's mailbox, but it will be able to do anything except sending the email. Sending an email would not be possible. So if I need that Krishna can also send an email from this Seema's mailbox, then I need to give the permission of senders also to the user Krishna. I need to give permission of senders also to the user Krishna. Now send on behalf means, let's say Seema is having a secretary, Sonali, and she has delegated her work to Sonali, that Sonali can send an email on behalf of user Seema. Then Sonali would be able to send an email on behalf of Seema from her inbox only. Right. So what we'll do first, we will see only the full access permissions. Let's add user Krishna here. I'm going to add user Krishna here and we'll click save. So I have added user Krishna here, right? In the senders permissions. In the full access permissions. And let's log in with the user Seema. Sorry, user Krishna. Now Krishna wants to access Seema's mailbox. He wants to access Seema's mailbox. We have given Krishna full access permissions on Seema's mailbox. So in order to access, we have the same option, open another mailbox. So Seema.patel@sp.com. Right, we'll click open. So you can see now Krishna is able to access Seema's mailbox. Now let's say he's creating a folder here, right click, create new subfolder, test folder. Now he's moving this email to the test folder, right? So he can do a lot of things. But now let's say you want to send an email from the inbox of Seema, to, let's say he's sending an email to administrator, marking a copy to himself. Test email. And he's sending an email, right? So what happened? You can see the message could not get delivered. You do not have the permissions to send messages from this mailbox, right? So now Krishna is able to access the mailbox because we have given full access permissions, right? But sending is not allowed. If in order to allow sending, we need to add Krishna and the sender's permissions. We need to allow Krishna and the sender's permission. So what we'll do, we'll save the messages draft and we'll come back. So right, we have stored the messages drafts. Right, we have stored the messages drafts. Right, we'll close this tab and we'll sign out Krishna. So we'll sign out Krishna. We'll go back to the same as mailbox delegation, and we'll add. So Krishna is already added on the full access tab. He has full access permissions. We'll give send as permissions also to the user Krishna. Okay. Now I'm giving send as permissions to Sonali also here. I'm giving send as permissions to Sonali also, but I'm not giving Sonali full access permissions. I'm not giving Sonali full access permissions. So let's log in with the user Krishna again. We'll ask user Krishna to open, to open Seema's mailbox. Krishna has opened Seema's mailbox, right? So now let's go to the drafts email and we'll ask Krishna to send this email. Maybe still it is not refreshed. We'll sign out and relaunch the browser. We'll validate once again here. Krishna is already there. Let's try to relog in again. Sometimes it takes time, so you don't need to worry. It will get applied. We'll try to send another email. So again, to the user Sonali, we are sending an email and we are marking a copy to user administrator. Just email or send as permission. Right, you can see the email has gone. The email has gone. We'll validate with administrator. Administrator has received the email. Now you can see we have sent an email from Sonali's mailbox. Sorry, Seema's mailbox. We have sent an email from Sonali's mailbox. Krishna has logged into Sonali's mailbox. We can see that this is Sonali's. Sorry, not Sonali. Seema's mailbox. Seema, Sonali. I also got confused.
Sima.
Seema, right? So we have logged in with Seema's mailbox. Krishna has logged in into Seema's mailbox, right? Krishna has logged into. No, hold on. That email went from Krishna's mailbox only, no? That went from Krishna's mailbox only. Oh, we'll try to send an email from here again to Sonali and administrator will mark a copy. Just email 3 or send as. This is just email for send as permissions to user Krishna on Seema's mailbox. Right, so this is Seema's mailbox. You can see Seema, mail and people's. Sorry, search mail and people. This is user Seema. Yeah, this user Seema. Will send. Why it is not saying? We have already given the mailbox permissions. Why it is not putting up right? Okay, let's give this permission to administrator also. And we'll review the administrator's mailbox. So let's open, we'll refresh administrator's mailbox and we'll open another mailbox. User Seema. We'll send an email. We'll send an email to, let's say, Krishna. Just send us. I will send. Let's go to Krishna's mailbox. Yes, we have received an email. No, this is system test email. My bad. Right, so you can see now administrator has sent an email here. This email has been sent by an administrator, but it is showing that Seema has sent an email. It is sent by an administrator, but it is appearing that Seema has sent an email. So this is send as permission. So we gave first of all full access permission to access the mailbox, and then we gave send as permissions to send an email from the mailbox. So it will show that this user only has sent an email. Seema has only sent an email. At present, Seema has not sent an email. Administrator has sent an email. Clear with this?
Yes, sir. So, can you delete a mail from Seema mailbox?
Yeah. So we'll go. Right. So here Seema's mailbox is being accessed. Right. So we'll go to the inbox. Let's delete this email.
Okay.
Right. So full access is there. Full access means user can do anything except sending emails.
Okay.
Now we have given send as permissions on Seema's mailbox to user Sonali. We have given send as permissions. No full access permissions are there. Okay. No full access permissions are there on Sonali's mail to Sonali on Seema's mailbox. So let's log in with the user Sonali. And let's user Sonali. Sonali is logged in. Now we will ask her to compose a new email. We'll ask to compose a new email. We'll say send an email to administrator and mark a copy to Krishna. Right. Send on behalf validation. This email is for send on behalf validation for the user Seema. Regards, Sonali. Right, so Sonali has logged into her mailbox only. Right, she has logged in her to mailbox only. Now, if we go here, we have show from. Right, so here it is showing from sonali.bendre@sp.com. Now, if we go to please should have here other user. Okay, okay. So she should have option. Let's give to another user also. Let me give. So I'll take user Steve. We'll configure with the user Steve. Sorry, we didn't give. Hold on. I am also confused. Okay, we have not given any permissions on send on behalf, right? So that's why it's not showing. Let's discard this message. Okay, so now on the user, we'll take the user Steve, right? We'll navigate to user Steve, mailbox delegation, and we are giving send on behalf permissions. Send on behalf permissions to user. Let's say we'll give the permissions to user Krishna and user Sonali. So both can send emails on behalf of user Steve. We'll click save. So at present, if we see, we have not given any permission of send as or full access. I have not given any permissions of full access, whereas I have not given any send as permissions. I have given only send on behalf permissions. I've given only send on behalf permissions. Now let's go and log in with the user Steve, sorry, with users Krishna or Sonali. Again, let's validate. We have given to user Krishna as well as Sonali. Send on behalf permissions. Right. We'll navigate to the in private window or incognito window. We log in with user Krishna. Let's click on new. We'll select the user administrator and we'll also select test user for user one. So we'll say send on behalf testing. So this email is send on behalf testing for the user P and permissions assigned to Sonali and Krishna. Regards, Krishna. So Krishna is sending an email, right? Krishna has logged in. If we go to from button, show from, if we select from, it's not coming. Okay, it is should show here. Let's say the draft and let's log in with the user Sonali and check it. Let's try to open the mailbox of user Seema. Sorry for user Steve. I don't know why it is creating problem today. My board domain controls are. Okay, so we don't have access to the mailbox. We don't have access to the mailbox. You can see it is saying you don't have permissions to open this mailbox. Now let's close this and we'll try to give mailbox to the user Sonali on Steve's mailbox. We'll try in that way, but it should work in that way. Why it is not showing? I'm giving full access permissions to user Sonali on Steve's mailbox. And we'll try from over there also. So let's refresh the mailbox of user Sonali. And let's hold on, just slightly missed it. You can see now Sonali is able to access the mailbox of the user Steve. Now let's ask her to send an email. We'll show the from button here. It still it is showing send on. Yeah, we'll test an email. Email has been sent. Right, so now you can see here in the subject line, it is saying Sonali Bendre has sent an email on behalf of Steve Johnson. So Steve has not sent an email. Steve has not sent an email. It is clearly showing. Whereas here, what was the case? It was showing that this user has sent an email directly. For example, admin sent an email to Krishna from Seema's mailbox, but it was appearing that Seema has sent an email to Krishna. Whereas here, email is has been sent to administrator from the user Steve. Email sender is Sonali. It is clearly showing that Sonali has sent an email to administrator on behalf of Steve. On behalf of Steve. That is the difference between send on behalf and send as permission. Clear between both? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Clear.
Till Rajesh seems to be confused. Yes, Rajesh, still confused. I
No,
feel
no,
it.
sir. Clear, clear.
Okay, so now we'll move ahead with one more thing. So I'll close this tab of administrator and we don't require this. Now, if we go to permissions, here we have some admin roles. Here we have some admin roles. Now, what are these administrative roles? So let's say you have a big exchange team and you want to delegate tasks to individual exchange administrators according to that level. Let's say L1 users, L1 admins, L2 admins, L3 admins, right? So these roles are meant for that. Let's say if you have a help desk team, you can delegate them with this role. So they will be able to perform the tasks which are related to help desk of exchange. We have security administrator, server management, right? We have discovery management, organization management, public folder management, only recipient management, right? So according to that role or according to that manageability task for exchange, you can delegate the roles to the respective users. Now, let's say, for example, we'll select the role recipient management. And you see what assigned roles are there. So this recipient management role can have sub roles, which what are the sub roles? Distribution groups management, mail recipient creation, mail recipients management, message tracking, migration, move mailboxes, recipient policies, team mailboxes, etc. Right? But at present, there are no members. Now, when you deploy Exchange, these roles are created by default. These default roles are created by default. So these are known as default roles. Now, if we go to our Active Directory and if we go to our Exchange security groups. So container, this OU is created when you deploy your exchange. And these all groups are created, and by default, these are universal groups. Now, groups have the scope of whole forest. So these groups, if you add a member, they can manage any object within the forest, not outside the forest. Now, forest can have multiple domains. Forest can have multiple domains. So let's say if we want to compare these groups with our exchange, right? So you can see we have compliance management, we have delegated setup, discovery management, help desk, organization management, public folder management, recipient management. Right. So basically, these are roles, and the roles are created under our Active Directory in the form of groups, and that too security groups with the scope as universal group. So if I go to any of the group, let's say I'll go to compliance management, right? So you can see we have universal and security. Universal and security. If we see the members at present, there are no members because we have not assigned any these of roles to any of the users. Now let's say I want to create a custom role. I don't want to give this default role to any user. We can give it. It's not necessary. You can't give. If we go to help desk, we can see user options and view only recipients option is enabled for help desk team. So they can view the recipients and some user options they can modify. User options they can modify. So let's create a new admin role. I'll give this as, for example, SDT. To my service desk team, I want to assign this role. To my service desk team, I want to assign this role is meant for our service delivery team L1 resources. Now, writing scope. What is this writing scope? So when you select the writing scope default to the whole organization, they can do. Whole organization means wherever the user is located, right? So if we go to Active Directory users and computers, so wherever my users are located, let's say I'm having domain users OU, and wherever my users are located, they can do everything. Now I am having one more OU here. I'm having one more OU here. I'm also having users here also. You can see finance users, Kushi and Sham, and sales users, Anuj and Harsh. Whereas we have here finance users, HR users, marketing users, right? Production users. Now, and another users also. Right. So I don't want to give that to all everywhere that my L1 resource or team can manage. I can give a specific OU also. Let's say I want to give only HR folder. I want to give only HR folder. So I will copy the path of the OU HR. So if I right click and say new user, so you can see this is my path. This is the OU path, right? I'll copy this path, and I want that the writing scope of that group should be that path only, organizational unit. So if I'm giving the path, let's say I'm giving the path, I'm copying this path separately also. I'll let you know. Right. So I have specified the scope is only this OU. Now I want to add roles. So I'll click on add roles. What roles I need to add? Let's say I'll add address list management. Then I'll say I want to give recipients management also. So we'll say mailbox recipient creation, mail recipients, mail tips. We'll also give the monitoring section. We'll give access to passwords. Yes, yes, Rajesh.
Actually, I have one note in the past also. Sir, is there any role related to
search mailbox, search mailbox role.
Search
In,
mailbox.
yeah, search mailbox role in this list.
So see here, we don't have. Why? What happened? Tell me.
Because in my production, uh, there is one command which I used to run to delete meetings of one particular user. If one user has organized the meeting, I need to delete the complete meetings that are organized by that user. So when I run that command, it used to throw an error. So one of my colleagues said that you need to require a such mailbox role in OnPrem. So
See it here at present. We don't have any search mailbox role. So you can see here. But instead of search, let's. So you have Googled it.
no, sir, I guess I saw one like something like mailbox search in that list.
Okay, mailbox search. Hold on.
Box search,
Yeah,
the
this is
mail.
this. Yeah, this is the same thing. What you are asking.
Okay, okay,
Okay, so we have mailbox search role. So you can search for a specific mailbox. If you don't have permission, you will not be able to search it.
okay,
Okay, so now we have added address list, mail recipient creation, mail recipients, mail tips, monitoring, reset password. I have added these roles. So click OK. So these roles are added. Now you want to assign these roles to a specific user. Let's say we'll assign to user Krishna. I'm going to assign to user Krishna. So I'm assigning the role to user Krishna. Now once I'll click save, I'm getting an error. Object class organizational unit is not recognized as a valid object class for email recipient object. So it is saying that the scope you have defined, it is not valid. So we'll click OK. And here I'm going to give the default scope at present. We'll click save. So my SD team role has been created, but right scope is default. So we'll click on the edit button. We'll select the OU now. We'll paste it, our path, and we'll click save. Now it is working. So this is a known bug or known issue of Microsoft, and you will not find any solution on internet for this. Right. So this is where you can change the right scope. Now let's log out from here. We'll log out from here and we'll ask the user. Okay, my domain controller stuff. Okay, we'll go back to our domain controller and we'll validate once again the role has been created successfully because our server Active Directory server went down. So my role has been created and right scope is also defined. Right? Right scope is also defined. Now let's sign out from this user administrator and we'll ask Krishna to log in. Let's log in with the user Krishna. Right, so user Krishna has logged in. We can see now that first of all on the left hand side navigation menu, a lot of things have been disappeared. Here also we were having around 6 to 7 tabs disappeared. If you go to servers, you can see other tabs have been disappeared. Mail flow, only accepted domains are there. Everything rest is disappeared. Rules or accepted domains, delivery reports, right? Accepted domains are there, but rest, send, receive connectors, everything is disappeared. If you go to permissions, you can see only Outlook Web App Policies permissions is there, right? Roles and user roles are not here. Now let's ask user Krishna to configure mail tip for the user schema. Now, before configuring mail tip for the user schema, what we'll do, we'll click on ellipsis button, 3 dots, and add remove roles. And here we'll provide the OU, organizational unit. We'll click OK. So now here we can see that where the user is located. So Seema Patel is located on the HR OU. So for this user, Krishna should be able to configure mail tip. But before that, we'll go to user Sonali. She's under the OU marketing. She's under the OU marketing. So Krishna should not be able to configure mail tip for the user Sonali. Let's go to the properties of this user. Right, you can see this are disabled. We'll go to the mail tip option. We'll try to configure mail tip. Right, I'm not able to type inside. I'm not able to type inside. Right. So user Krishna is not able to type inside. Now let's in the same manner go to user Seema, properties, mail tip, and you can see now here Krishna is able to configure the mail tip. If he saves it, right, you can see the mail tip is configured. Mail tip is configured for the user Seema because it has the scope of OUHR where we gave the scope of OUHR. But for this user, we didn't provided permission to the user Krishna. So for this user, Krishna is not able to modify anything. If Krishna wants to reset password for the user Sonali, right? So uh, right, you can see user mailbox he can create. So for password reset, so the password reset can be done from the yeah, also, yeah. So password reset can be done for the user Seema, right? Password reset is available, right? Password reset can be done for the user Seema. But for user Sonali, if we go to the user Sonali, Krishna would not be able to reset password for the user Sonali. You can see, sorry, reset password option we have given. So he can reset the password for both the users, but rest modification is not allowed. We have given the explicit role of reset password for any user he would be able to reset the password. Let's try it once again. I'm going to set a new password for the user Sonali. Right, so it is giving an error because it is out of the current user's right scope. It is outside the user's current right scope. And if he wants to configure for the user Sonali, it will be able to configure because that is under the right scope. Clear with admin roles?
Okay.
Yes, sir. I have uh, two things to ask.
Yeah,
In organization like global admission, like global administrator has a permission. He will do the he will create the admin roles, right?
yeah.
Okay. And also, do can we by default compliance role, some other roles created? Can we
Hmm.
modify, or we
For
can't
example,
alter?
I have selected compliance management. Let's go to properties and you can add or remove. any subsidiary roles. You can modify, but it is not recommended you should modify any default roles. Instead, you can create a custom role and
Hmm.
you can copy all these. See here you have the list of this assigned roles. You can simply copy it, paste it, and you can add this role into a new custom role. It is always recommended like that.
Okay. And also, we have seen the scope for security group like universal and global
Yeah.
and a local. So
Yeah.
yeah, we have multiple domains in forest. So
Hmm.
universal scope will apply to the entire
Whole
forest.
forest. Yeah.
Yeah. And what about the scope of global and the local? Can you
Yeah.
repeat,
So
sir? Mm.
see, for example, domain local is limited to the local domain only, single domain. If you have, let's
Okay.
say, 20 domains in the forest, so where the group is created in that respective domain, only the scope will be applicable for the domain local group. For global, global is entire forest as well as outside the forest to a trusted domain. Both membership it can carry, and it can be used at within the whole forest and outside the forest also, where it is trusting any another domain. So
Domain.
within the domain local group, within the forest universal group, within the forest and outside the forest global group. Simple.
Okay, got it.
Right. Now here we can see we are not able to see our custom created group. So I'm just going to simply refresh my AD console, and here we can see we have our group SD team group, right? And if we go to properties of this group, members, we can see we have user Krishna as part of this group. Let's say if I add another user here, let's say I'm adding user Seema here, and I'll click OK and OK. I have added Seema here. Now let's navigate to the Exchange console. I'll refresh this console. We'll go to the permissions, SD team, members. We have Krishna Teja. We'll go to properties. Still here we can see now we have members Krishna Teja and Seema. Right. So I can add from here also, or I can add from Active Directory also. At present, I'll remove from here and I'll save it. And we'll go back to Active Directory, refresh this, and we'll go to properties of this group members. Now you can here Seema will be removed in a moment. Got it? If you can do vice versa, but that is not the recommend process. That is a in traditional Hindi we say jugaad. That is jugaad, right? That is not the right process. Here we should always provide the permissions to the group from here only, from that role, from here only. Clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right. Just a
So
second. Just a second. Just a second. Yeah, Krishna, you were asking something.
uh, yeah, for example, in our organization, we have a team for exchange admins. So to
Mhm.
provide the admin roles, in the global admin, what he do, like he create a OU and assign the users, or he provide the permission, like he create a custom role and provide the permission to the admins. So is
Mhm.
it the backend happening, sir?
Yeah, so
Exactly.
here,
Yeah.
let's say here to my this role, I have given permission to a specific user also, right? If I click the add button, I can give to a group also. Let's say I'm having, for example, marketing group. I'll select the marketing group. Okay. So whosoever are part of this marketing group, they will get the permissions.
Okay.
Understood?
Yeah, yeah, understood, sir. So in the same way, like global admin give the admin roles for the exchange admins. Create a
Yeah,
group.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Create a group
So
and assign the roles and give the permission to them to
yeah,
access that.
yeah. So you
Exchange.
can
Yeah.
create multiple roles here. Let's say if you want, I can create a role where only reset password is allowed and reading is allowed. So I can add a new roles. For example, I can say I want to give read permissions only. Right. For example, first of all, I want to give information of view only recipients, and I want to give password reset password. Reset password. Right. So it can view the recipient's information and it can reset the password. That's all. And I can give the whole scope. So in the whole scope, it can view the recipient's information wherever it is located in any OU, right? And this admin can reset the passwords also of the users. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So we'll keep this much for today.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes, sir. Okay.